Hello, hello, and welcome to another global game night, everybody. I'm super pumped. Tonight we're playing a game called Cartographers. This is made by Thunderworks Games. Here's a quick peek at the box. I've heard so many good things. I have yet to actually play it myself. So this is actually my first time playing it tonight. So hopefully I've done enough homework to be able to teach the rules. And yeah, we'll get it going pretty soon. Favorite game of 2019. All right, Ethan, we got a lot. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's been on my list. You know, it's been on the shelf. I just have yet to crack it. So I'm pumped. And also super excited tonight to switch over to this super fancy playmat that Thunderworks Games donated and said you can give this to the winner of the global game night when you play Cartographers. So we're gonna show it off on screen because it's awesome, and whoever wins tonight, of course, on the championship, the second round, is going to walk away with an awesome playmat. So super thanks to Keith from Thunderworks Games for donating this, and he's a great guy. So and they make great games too. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Cartographers. So the first thing I need to talk about is this playmat is ginormous. It takes up even more than what I can show you on camera, so it's huge, and I'll show you the art a little bit later. But it is glorious. It's beautiful. I love it. So in Cartographers, we are going to be, again, first time teaching this game, so bear with me here. We're going to be drawing, I suppose, polyomino Tetris shapes onto a map, and we're going to be generating a map of the region. We are a famous cartographer, I suppose. All right. So in the game, we are going to be scoring points at 4 different times during the game. We are going to be scoring points at the end of 4 different phases. So we have 4 different seasons. We have spring, we have summer, fall, and winter. And these will tell you which two scoring cards are going to take effect. All right. Now here's the map we're going to be putting our Tetris spaces on, or drawing our Tetris like polyomino Tetris like tiles on. And on the bottom, across the bottom, is where we're going to be scoring. All right. And so when we flip out enough, let's see, what is this called? The Explore cards, I believe, to reach a sum of 8 or more, then that is going to trigger scoring for the spring phase. Okay. Then we are going to calculate the score of our map based on what is on A and what is on B. Same thing for summer. We would score for B and C. Same thing for fall, C and D. And then what's so interesting in this game, winter, we would score D and A. All right. So A is actually going to come back, and it can be one of the most potentially strategic scoring aspects of this game. Okay, let's take a look at some of these Explore cards and find out a little bit more what we're going to do. So, and also, what are we doing on our turn, right? So we have a Explore phase, and we have a Draw phase, and that makes up the primary, like the entire game loop. Okay, so a card is flipped on the Explore phase. All right, we're going to put them across the top, just because that's a little bit easier to see with the layout. And the Explore phase is going to have a few interesting points of information that we need to know. So the card flips up. It has 2 different terrain types. So in this game, I believe there are 6 total terrain types. There is forest, village, farm, water, monster, and mountain. Okay. The only ones found on the cards, though, I believe are going to be forest, village, farm, water, and monster. Okay. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice is we have time value 2. Whenever the sum of Explore cards flip out are going to be equal or greater than this 8, that is going to trigger the scoring for the spring phase. Okay, the Explore phase, we flipped out a card. The draw phase, we are making a decision based on the card and drawing it onto our map, right? This is, this is where we are creating, creating our map. Yeah, very similar scoring, a little bit to the Isle of Skye. I totally agree with that, and it's a lot of fun. The other good news is we actually don't need the turn counter in this game because Thunderworks built it right in. That's fantastic. What we're doing when we flip up this card, though, is we are choosing one of the two terrain types and drawing this funky space, this funky shape, onto our map. All right. I believe we can draw it anywhere that it fits, and we can choose to be one of the two terrain types, but it must be all of that terrain type. So you could choose to make the shape as a forest. You could choose to make the shape as a water. And you're going to go and make sure that you draw these symbols in the shape relevant to that terrain type. And yes, that is what I was going to get to next, but thank you. You can rotate and you can flip the tile next, or the shape next. And that is super important. You're going to need that, I think. I've yet to play it, but you're going to need it. Okay, let's take another look at a few more of these cards, because I think there's a few other ones in here. All right, we have, and the next one is a Temple Ruins. The Temple Ruins is an interesting card. It actually does not it does not increase time at all in the season, but what it means is the next card that comes out must be drawn on top of a ruin. So you see these light shaded ruin aspects or areas, spaces on your map. You must actually draw this onto one of the ruins. Now, there is one really important thing I forgot to mention about drawing your shape. If you cannot draw the shape on your map, then you can choose to draw one square of either of the terrain types. Now you'll see on this one, we have terrain type, which is a village. We don't get a choice, but what we do get a choice of is the two different shapes below. If we choose the shape on the left, we're going to draw that three square shape, all right, and also get a coin. Now, coins are going to be tracked across the bottom, and we'll score at every scoring phase. So they're valuable as well, but it's also valuable to draw in some of the larger shapes, I believe, and so you're choosing which of the two shapes that you want to draw in. If there's a coin next to one of them, you are going to score the coin. And the coin scores on every single scoring phase. Okay, what else? I believe there's one or two more card types we have to talk about. There is, I saw it a minute ago, there's a wild one. There it is, the Riftlands. This is the one special wild card in the game. When this one comes up, you can draw one square anywhere on your map, and that can be any terrain type. And interestingly, that could be a monster terrain type too. The mountains, which are located on your maps, you cannot draw a terrain on top of the mountain, but you can draw a terrain around the mountains. And you will actually get a gold, you will unlock a gold or score a gold when you fill in the adjacent 4 squares next to the mountain. So that is up, down, left, right. If you surround the mountain completely, you are going to score a coin. All right. So once we had flipped up enough cards, then we would score the scoring phase 1. The last bit of information I think we need to talk about is the monster cards. So there's going to be one monster card in the Explore phase, or the Explore deck, when we start the game, but as we go through, we're going to shuffle in one additional monster card each phase. So if we don't get to a monster card in one of the phases, we might be getting to 2 in the next phase. Now, the monster cards, these are devious little buggers. Their shapes are gross, and what happens in the normal game, what happens in the multiplayer game is, I believe this is 1 to 6? 1 to a bunch. Let me look that up. Well, I will check back later, and maybe someone can fill me in. To infinity. That's my kind of game. All right. Yeah, I believe you're right. I think it is to infinity. When in the normal game, you would actually pass your sheet to the right or to the left, depending on the card, and the player to the right would write in the monster on your sheet somewhere, or the player to the left would write in the monster on your sheet. So you actually are giving up your sheet to somebody else which is a super, super clever part of this game, I think. And again, I've yet to play it. Now, what we are going to play, though, is slightly different, but it's going to function in a very similar way. And this is actually the solo rules of the game. The solo rules, there is, I love it when a publisher, accommodates for all player accounts, because this just shines. So what it says is, in the solo rules, you're actually going to look at the top right. And the top right, it's a little bit tough to see, but it is a filled-in purple node on the bottom right square. Okay? Now, that means that you are going to, starting in this corner, you must place that monster next to a wall, an edge, okay, if you can. And then it says going this way, just like the rotation, we would then check this corner. And then we check this corner, and then we check this corner. And so you'd always be looking to place it on the edge. That's how the monsters work in the solo mode. Now, if you cannot place it onto the edge because you've filled up a giant perimeter, then you are going to do the same thing on the next space inwards. I'm going to read that verbatim just to make sure I'm not getting that wrong. It says, on your map sheet, starting in the corner indicated by the ambush card, which is the bottom right corner on this one, and proceeding along the edge of the map in the direction indicated by the arrow, attempt to legally draw the monster shape without flipping or rotating it. So here's a specific one here. No flipping, no rotating in the solo mode. If you cannot legally draw the monster shape anywhere along the edge of the map, move one space in from the edge and attempt it again. So that's where, if your perimeter is full, then you would start trying to draw the monsters a little bit closer towards the center of your map, one space in. And I think towards the end of the game, it'll be pretty clear like where it can fit, and so it should. But I'll talk through it once that comes up, so that everyone can see which corner we're talking about, which way we're rotating on the board. And I believe you're just dividing the board up into squares. So like the bottom right quadrant would be where you'd start on this one. Then you'd go to the top right quadrant. You go to the top left quadrant, and then the bottom left quadrant. Just skip all the monsters. I agree. But no, of course, this is a fantasy land. Cartographers, a role player tale. This is, I believe, set in the role player world as well. So that's kind of a fun thing that Thunderworks does. Is they extend their worlds to other game types, which is great. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I have one monster and one monster only shuffled into the Explore deck. Okay, I'm not going to look which one. All right, and then we're also going to talk through what these scoring cards do, because I think that's a really important part of the game. So the Explore deck is set up. Okay. Boom. Whoa, that's not right. Let me get a different monster card. I thought that looked funny out of the corner of my eye. Here we go. Explore deck over here. And I will be flipping these. I suppose I'm going to rearrange this just a little bit with the... No, we'll do that. That's fine. Okay. Just like we taught it. All right. Explore deck is set. Now we're going to talk through the different scoring seasons. Okay, the first season is called the Shield Gate. Shield Gate says earn 2 reputation stars for each village space in the second largest cluster of village spaces. Now a cluster is anytime you have a group of one or more spaces of that terrain type. So for example, let's say you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cluster, and then you have a 3 cluster, you would score 2 points for every space in your 3 cluster, and that would be worth 6 points. Okay? The Green Burrow, and ask questions if you have them. So the Green Burrow says earn 1 reputation star for each row and column with at least 1 forest space. So I love the illustration here. You can see that there is forest in the first column, second column, third column, but not the fourth column. That means your first 3 columns score a point. And just like over here, row 1 and row 2, you have a point, and row 3, you do not. Okay. We have the Canal Cake. Actually, I believe that says Canal Lake, but I think the cake sounds more delicious. Earn 1 reputation star for each water space adjacent to at least 1 farm space. Earn 1 reputation star for each farm space adjacent to at least 1 water space. Okay, this is kind of an interesting one. So the canal cake for sure, delicious. We have the water is next to the farm, right? The water is next to the farm, so that water is scoring a point, and that water is scoring a point. This farm is next to a water. That farm is scoring 1 point as well. But interestingly, the farm is not scoring 2 points. Okay, so it is at least 1 farm space. It doesn't matter how many it's next to. It just has to be next to 1. I'm hungry. Oh no. And the Lost Barony. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. Correct me if I'm wrong. And this one says, earn 3 reputation stars for each space along one edge of the largest square of filled spaces. Wow. Earn 3 reputation stars for each space along one edge of the largest square of filled spaces. All right, so the largest square of filled spaces is a 4, and so 3 points for each square on the edge. So it's time for a pie. It incentivizes you, I suppose, to have a large cluster on the edge for each space along one edge of the largest square of filled spaces. The largest square of filled spaces. So actually, it incentivizes you to have a square of filled spaces. So if you don't have a square of filled spaces, look, it sounds like that is not going to trigger. I'm going to look that one up really quick. The Lost Barony, just to see if there's any other clarification on that. Lines on a map may not define the loyalty of this fiercely independent people. I like the like Patrick Doodle. Well, we're gonna have to play that one next. All right, you'll have a minimum of a 1x1 square, I think. Okay. All right. So it is a square. Excellent. So we're going to go ahead and play a practice game, and then once we all are comfortable with what we're doing, then we're going to compete for the global bragging rights and the player map, which is super cool. Can be anywhere on the map. Yes. Okay. With the 4x4 or the square. Does not have to be a 4x4. Okay. Don't forget to name your maps. Yes, good call. Now, actually, it did say in the solo mode that you should not write a name up here because that will be your score at the end. Now, the way the solo mode works is this is an interesting aspect to scoring at the end of the game is going to be not just the amount of points that you scored, but you're going to take this 20 plus 22 plus 24 plus 24 and compare it against what your actual end score was. If you beat that by a certain amount, that gives you a way to score. We can just, I think, compare our scores, but that is a way to see if you are a different skill level of cartographer. Monsters. One more thing we should talk about with monsters. So monsters, anytime you have an open adjacent space next to a monster at the end of a scoring phase, any scoring phase, it is going to score you -1 points for that open adjacent square. So what you want to do with monsters is you want to make sure that they are next, you fill spaces in next to them. You don't want to leave your monsters roaming around and they will cause havoc on your maps and you will have a lot of negative points at the end of the game. Alrighty, so if we do something wrong, just feel free to chime in and this is a learning game, practice game, and we'll get through it together. And we're going to rock and roll. So let me go ahead and put some light tunes on, and we'll start flipping some cards. All right, here we go. Good luck, everybody, in the practice game. So the first one we have is a Temple Ruins. When the Temple Ruins come out, just keep in mind the next shape we are going to write is going to be over one of the ruins on your map. All right. And we have the goblins attacking. Wah, wah. How about that? So this is the bottom right quadrant of your map. Choose a place that it can fit. You cannot rotate it. You cannot flip it. All right. We'll just do that. make sure you draw it so that you can remember what terrain type is there. So my drawings are not great, but now I know the monsters are there. All right. The monsters did not add any time. So actually what happens when a monster comes out after this temple ruin is that the temple ruin is going to be shifting forward, okay? Temple ruin now is going to apply to this hamlet. So we have a terrain type house or village, I suppose, and we get to choose 3 or 5 spaces in that shape. Okay. Make sure you take the coin if you grab the coin. And that's interesting because I think if I would have been smarter there, I could be gaining a coin from the mountain right away, but I'm cool with that. And you should draw such that you can tell it is one congruent shape. So I didn't do a great job there. I love the color pencils in this game. I should have pulled them out. So you shouldn't be dividing these into like 3 different squares. It should be one congruent. I'll try to remember that for the next time. And it has to go on the ruin. Thank you. All right. I already made a mistake. I love it. Just flip it and reverse it. Yep. And unfortunately, now I just have a little bit of a mess up on the page. But that's why it's a learning game. Here we go. So we have 1 against our total. And make sure if you took the 3, you are taking the coin as well. All right. Rock and roll. I feel like I'm the learner and you guys are the teachers today. All right. We get the homestead. We have village or we have the farmlands, and we have another shape. All right. So villages are scoring first, as are largest squares. I think I'm going to do that farmlands and just... We'll go straight to the homestead. Cleaned it up. Cleaned it up. I'm curious to see if it's going to be better to be like nesting really close, or if it's going to be better to kind of spread out and sprawl out in this game. I suppose the temple, keeping those ruins open makes a lot of sense. See, happy accidents. That was perfect. Yeah. So we're at 3. Now we're at 5 for the time track. Farmlands or water, and we have a giant L. Where's that sucker gonna go? And rotating it might be a good call soon. Interestingly, too, I mean, I think it's smart to start looking ahead at, like, the canal cake, right? That could be a good spot to put next to farmlands. Don't want to cover a ruin. But water or something else, I don't really know. Water or farmlands, I don't really have a big, decision one way or the other right now. Okay, here we go. Farmlands, time is 1. So we are at 6 total time. And we're definitely putting farmlands down. Okay. I'm not sure if it's smart to be conserving space yet, or if it's smart to be spreading out as far as possible. I suppose, we're not going to be scoring our big square until C and D, and then D and A. So I suppose it'd be fall and winter. All right, flip it up. We are already through our enemy, so we got another 1. We got more water coming in hot. That's kind of gross. Sure. I'm going to go ahead and grab a coin for filling in around that first mountain. All right. And also grabbing a coin for hitting the 3, using the 3 space instead of the 5 space. All right, I think those coins are going to start to stack up in this game. I really hope so. Outpost ruins, which means we are going again. Oh, the Rift lands. So this can be any one. That's kind of gross. It can be any one land type, including monsters, and that can be anywhere you want, but it has to be anywhere that is on an outpost. Okay, on the ruins. Anywhere you want, so long as it's on the ruins. Well, the only thing that seems to be scoring for me, A and B. I suppose I keep working on that. Canal cake. All right, and that is a 0. So we are still going, aren't we? Jeez. We're scoring, yeah, shield gate and trees. I don't see it. None of the ruins are next to the edges, though. But I suppose it all counts as rows and columns, so really should be taking trees soon. It's a great time to take some trees. There it is. Boom. Yeah, I think it's a good call to take some trees, huh? Question is, where is it going to go? Do you want it to get kind of crazy, or I don't think it makes sense to go there. I think I'm going to start going somewhere else so I can start to surround a mountain somewhere else. Yeah. Oh, we got doggos. It's okay. That one's Gus. He's a big one. All right, and we're gonna put some forests in there, and that means we're scoring right away. We'll see if Gus shows his face later. We got the baby gate down because we don't have a foster dog right now. We adopted our last foster away, and she's doing great. Okay, so we are scoring A and B. First off, shield gate. If you have a cluster of houses, right? Your second smallest cluster of villages will score 2 reputation each. So, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 as a cluster, and I have 1, 2, 3 as a cluster. Monsters separating them. Clusters are orthogonally adjacent, not diagonal. So I have 2 clusters, a 3 and a 4. That means I'm going to score 6 points for my scoring. I believe they're calling them edicts in the game. Number A. All right. Feeling okay about that. On B, for every row that you have, is every row and column with a forest in it is going to score 1 point for that row and column. And they score independently too. So for example, 1, 2, 3 columns and 1, 2, 3 rows. That's going to be 6 more points for B. Write in the value of coins that you have. I'm going to grab 4 points there, and write in the monsters. So if you have any spaces next to a monster that are not filled in at this point, that is going to be minus 1 point per space. So let's just make an example. If these 3 villages were not filled in, I would have minus 1. All right, already counted here for a minus 1, and then minus 2. So I would have 2 spaces, this one and then this one, if I didn't have this village filled in with like letting the monsters roam free, I suppose. Okay, we're gonna add that up. Feeling good, 14 points. All right, rock and roll. All right, so what are we gonna do now? All right, so we've already gone through monster number 1. What we're gonna do is we're gonna completely shuffle up the rest of the exploration. All right, no worries. We can go back to the scoring if you want to talk through that real quick. We're shuffling up the exploration. We're going to put in 1 more monster card and reset the deck. So, back to scoring for Miss Amy Jo. So, Miss Amy Jo, what we're doing in scoring is for spring, we're scoring A and B, which is the shield gate and the green burrow. All right. Now, for A, the shield gate, you are specifically looking for anywhere on your map that you drew clusters of village. So we have a cluster of village here. So let me get a little finer pen. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 adjacent villages. No problem, Amy Jo, no problem. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is my largest cluster of villages. And I also have a cluster here, which is 1, 2, 3. Okay. So 2 points for each space in my second largest cluster. All right. My second largest cluster is 3. So that is 2, 4, 6 points. I wrote a 6 down over here. All right. The second thing I scored for was the green burrow, which is B. We're scoring A and B in spring, remember? In the green burrow, for every row that has a forest terrain type in it, and every row that has a every column that has a forest terrain type in it, I get 1 point for each row column that has terrain types in it of forest. All right, so example, column here, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. Row here, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. So I have 6 points going down here for terrain type forest. Now, for monsters, for coins, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 coins, so I wrote a 4 here. For monsters, let's say for example we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's say we have monsters right up here. I would have 1 open space, 2 open spaces, 3 open spaces, 4 open spaces, 5 open spaces, 6 open spaces next to my monsters. All right, so you want to pack in tiles around your monsters. That would be minus 6 stinking points for that monster placement. Now, if you have tiles next to your monster, so for example, let's say I have a house filled in here, right? A three spot, or maybe farmlands. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4 open spaces next to the monsters instead of 6, right? So that would be minus 4 because we have 4 open spaces. So anyway, learning game. I kind of didn't teach that one until the end, but that's how the monsters work. That's probably the most confusing spot in the game. Any other questions, feel free to specifically type them out in the stream chat and I will absolutely answer and we'll go through it. All right, what do we got next? We got summer. Summer, we are going to be scoring B and C at the end of the round. So the green burrow and the canal cake. The first card is going to be a stinking monster, and this one is anywhere on the edge of your upper right hand corner. All right. You are going to have to put gross. You're going to have to put this monster shape next to the edge of your right hand corner. Okay. So in any of these spots. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I suppose this seems fine. So Mr. Monster, got the devil horns and whatnot. This game's pretty cool. I like it so far. What's up, Gus? All right, so we got monsters up here. Now, why did I put it there? Just really quick. You know, I'm kind of saving myself a little bit because it's not next to an open space. Here. So that's a good spot. And it's also doing some work next to the mountains for me too. So it potentially could help me get that gold point. All right. The next thing we are doing. I know that's a gross way to start, isn't it? Next thing we have is farmland. Farmland, we have a 2 spaces or 5 spaces over here. I mean, the canal cake, it's time, right? And grab your gold if you have gold. All right. So that was 1. We have an outpost next. The outpost the next card must be filled in on an outpost. Now, keep in mind, because you have outposts in this game, you don't want to be filling up your outposts, I don't think, unless you have an outpost card, because, oh, another Riftlands, that's great. Because if you fill up your outpost on accident without an outpost card, that means that when it comes up, you might not be able to place the full tile, you might have to place just 1 square. Who did shuffle these? This is brutal. All right. Well, this outpost maybe makes some sense for me over here. Yeah. Just get some gold going. This is probably fine too. Nope, we're doing it over here. Question is, does it matter? I suppose a forest is okay. Give me another 1 point for the column. I don't love that play, but it's all right. I'm getting closer to a gold. All right, the next one is going to be a fishing village. Fishing village, you can choose either village or water. That's very thematic. Good work. And you get a long, thin tile. So maybe I want to cover the outpost now. I just said I didn't want to do that, but maybe I want to now. Oh, all right. I don't know if that's a great play, but it's something. All right, next card. So we are at 3 so far. We are now at 5 time versus the 8. So we're going to be scoring pretty soon. We have orchards and we have farmland. This is actually a little bit of a tough call. I really got to get rid of those monsters is what I have to do. So I'm going to go ahead. I don't like that play, but I'm going to go ahead and write over that ruin. I said it's not smart to do, but you can do it. It is a choice you can make in the game. All right, so we are at 5 now. We are now going to be at 7. More trees are coming out. Trees and villages. Yeah, that's pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 5, sure. 1, 2, 3. That's okay. Do this. All right. I'm excited to see people's maps and their art skills because mine certainly are not holding up very well. So we are at 7 time right now. We would flip out another card. This would bring us to 8, so we will score after this card. Forest and that gross shape or that less gross shape. Huh. Well, definitely going to be a forest, huh? It's at that point in time in the game where you want to start looking for forests that are going to score you points. Like this potentially is a big play for for forest points. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's good. But it also starts to hurt a little bit when you can't fill things in nice and easy. Sure. We'll do like... Sure. I think I'm making this more challenging for myself in the future by some of these placements, but points now is good, right? Okay. So we're going to be scoring B and C. We'll go through this together really quick. Greenboro, we already know how that works. Every row, every column, independently that you have a tree in, you're going to score a point for that row, a point for that column. So, for example, you just go left to right and count the columns you see a row, a tree, and then you count the rows that you see a tree. So I have 10. 19. Feeling good about that. And that goes in the B scoring space. All right. Next one is the Canal Lake. Now this one's new. We're going to talk about this one again because we didn't score this one last time, but we're scoring it this time. Canal Cake. Sorry. For every, let's see, farmland, you want farmland next to water, but you're only going to score it, I suppose, one time. It says earn 1 reputation for each water space adjacent to at least 1 farm space. Earn one reputation star for each farm space adjacent to at least one water space. So I suppose if you have a water space next to a farm space, go ahead and count those first, and then count your farm spaces next to water spaces. So your water and farm can potentially score points this round. Don't forget, diagonals don't count. Exactly. So I'll kind of count these. So first off, I'm going to go farms first. So this farm is next to water. Feeling good. Got a point. This farm is next to water. 2 points. 3 points. 4 points. 5 points. Then I count my water spaces. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I'm going to have 13 points from water. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 points from gold. And -2 from monsters. 1, 2 up here. -2 from monsters. All right. That's a pretty good score, I think. 32, 37, -2, 35. All right. That is round 2. Anyone have any scoring questions on the summer phase before we go over to the fall? Man, this game's really cool. I really like this. Okay, what do we need to do? We need to remove that monster. We need to shuffle it up. And the other explore cards too. Put in a new monster, shuffle it up. Hopefully we don't get it right on top. You never know. Badly. It's okay. It's a learning game. All good. Alrighty. We are in the fall. We will be scoring C and D at the end of this phase. And it is only worth 7 times. So that is, the game is getting a little bit shorter here. Here we go. What the heck? Jinxed. Darn you, goblins. Actually, I think the goblins should be out, but we're going to play it as it stands. I should have completely removed the goblins from the game in the past, so hopefully I didn't put a second note. It's just the goblins this time. All right, we're going to replace it with one of the other two. That's a good call. Let's replace it with one of the other two. Yeah, it should be removed. So let's say the Knoll raid comes up. So the Knoll, what did the Knoll do? Top left. And that ugly shape. My top left is wide open. You could use it to surround a mountain, which is kind of cool. I don't mind that. There's a big old pack of monsters up here. Knolls. Oh yeah, they're in Lockout too. I have Lockout back on the shelf too. I've yet to play that as well. It is on the short list to play. Is it Lockup? Lock up. Lock up. Also Lockout. Okay. That was monsters. That's the Knoll raid. That had to go in your top left next to an edge. It has to go in A1 if it can. Oh shucks, you're right. It has to start on the corner. I'm gonna move that sucker over. You cannot legally, yeah, there you go. Begin, yeah. Starting in the corner and proceeding along the edge. Okay, so it literally had to go in A1 if it could, and then proceeding this way. Oof, okay, I'm gonna move it over. But I wanted it next to the mountains. It would have been so much better. Don't worry, I'll fill that in with something else. This looks like from the same people that makes Role Player. It is. It is. It is. This is a game called Cartographers. It is by the Role Player peeps, Thunderworks. Drats! Alright, let's get these monsters out of the game. They're terrible. I'm going to flip this player mat table. Alright, next thing we have is the Riftlands. This one is worth 0 time. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. One thing I would love to have is actually a few different people putting this on actually globally. Like you said, you're in Europe. I'm in Europe right now, or it's 3 something a.m. I'm guessing Europe. But that would be really cool. So having a few different, people doing this at different time zones. So I'll see if I can figure that out in the future. All right. Riftlands, this you can place a wild anywhere you want. Well, I'm probably not gonna place monsters. All right, let's do this. Get it out of there. Make some farms. All right. Next thing, what are we gonna do next? We're gonna do the village 1 time. I'm really looking for a solution to just cover up this garbage I have up here. Yeah. Let's see, for each village space in the second market, so that'll be coming up in the last time. I really don't have much I can do with that, but that's okay. All right, where does this feel like it just fits? Sure. Let's do that. Get some houses going in the middle. I feel like this is where my game plan is going to break down because things are starting to get, a little tighter, a little closer together. Oh, best working day ever. Yeah, that's perfect. You work on night duty. There you go. And I make sure if you grab the lower of the two, the smaller of the two shapes, you grab a coin. All right, what do we got next? We have the fishing village. So we are up to 3 time out of a maximum of 7. The fishing village is going to be village or fish, and it is a long, thin shape. 4 spaces long. Yeah, let's make a big village, guys. I shouldn't lose sight of my canal cake though. We're still scoring canal cake this time. All right. Hinterland Stream. This is very good. So we are at 5 time right now. This is a large L-shaped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. It is farmland or water. Man. Okay, now we can make some fixes up here. Let's do some water instead of monsters. I drowned the monsters up top. Okay. Almost fixed everything. Next card would be a homestead. This would be 2 more, so we are going to be at 7, and we're going to be scoring, so choose this placement wisely. It could be a village, or it could be a farmland. Ah, that's pretty good. I'm going to be taking some monster points this time, but that's okay. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, that's going to be farm. Okay. We're going to go ahead and score at the end of the fall. So we have C and D. We are scoring the canal lake just like we did last time, but making sure that you update the value because you might have placed more farms or water. So 18. All right. Something. Make sure you don't forget your gold. Got some monsters coming in. -4 on monsters. Oof. And then we are scoring the Lost Barony. And I want someone to check my work on this one to make sure I'm thinking about this right. I think my largest square is in the bottom right hand corner here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would be 3 points per. That would be 15. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 55. Okay. Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate it. So just to talk about that really quick, the way that the Lost Barony works is you look for your largest square. Mine is going to be right here and here. See that in the bottom quadrant of the map? And because I have 5 spaces on the edge, that is 3 points per space on the edge of the square. So basically, what's how many spaces are on one side of the square? And so that is going to be 15 for me there. All right. 33 plus 6, 39 minus 4 is 35. All right, rounding up with 35. 55. All right, let me just pause for a second, see if anyone has any questions here. And, you know, we're getting close to the end of the game here. I've taken a lot of pretty small spaces because I have a lot of coins. I've taken a lot of the smaller things. Okay. Rock on. Have any questions, feel free to ask. All right, last phase, we're going to make sure that we get rid of this monster, the Null Raid, for good. All right, put the last monster in. Make sure that I look at the monster to make sure, yes, it is a monster. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, so for that Lost Barony, it would be 3 points per, I guess, the length of the square. Length or the height of the square. Say hello to the monster. Yeah, I guarantee the monster's first, right? Like, I'm not, I should shuffle up here just to make sure. I'm not, you know, messing around. All right. Yeah, the monster. The song choice. Hilarious. Okay. We are flipping to the winter, and in the winter, oh boy, we only have 6 time. So here we go. No monster. All right. The marshlands. Pick forest or water. Keep in mind that we're not going to be scoring the canal cake anymore. Forest or water. Some of this is like, where does this even fit? Sure. It should also, it's a good time to mention that if you cannot place one of the shapes, then you are instead place, if you can place one of the 2 shapes, or one of the 2 tile types, if you place a shape, then you must place a shape. If you cannot place the shape, then you will place a 1x1 square of either of the 2 tile types. That is what I was trying to say. I suppose I want this to be trees. Didn't really matter. because it was a poor placement. All right. So that is 2 time. Very quick. We could leave. Very quickly we could be ending. Yeah, the trees didn't score many points though. We're not getting to the green borough anyway. Really, I think you're just trying to make big squares and big houses right now, or big villages. So this village seems great if you can place it. That's excellent for me. Although interestingly, like you get points for your second largest village, so I almost need to be thinking about a third large village here. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Yeah, maybe I actually need to start thinking about a third village. And gold seems like it's pretty good early in the game, but not quite as good at the end. We'll see if we can pull that for amber. Ah, the freaking monsters. We knew. We knew. So this is going to be in the bottom left. Must go in the dirty corner. And if it can go in the corner, if it can't go in the corner, then it is going to go to the left. So it would move up, I suppose, the left wall. You would try it along this until you can have it fit. And if it doesn't fit on the outer perimeter, then you would try the next inner space, and then it would circle the perimeters until you can have it fit. So for example, let's say, just here's a good time to illustrate this. Let's say this was all closed off. Then I would have to put the monster in a space it can fit. It cannot fit there. Cannot fit there. And again, we can't rotate it either, right? Cannot fit, cannot fit, cannot fit, cannot fit. Where would it end up going? I think it would end up going right here. If this were blocked off with something else. It ends up fitting just fine in my part of the board, so I'm okay with that. But that is how you would navigate where to put the monster in the solo mode of Cartographers if it is not intuitively placed in the corner, because your corners fill. Okay. I'm sorry. We knew the monster was going to come, though. All right, we got the Great River. That's kind of a long, skinny space, so hopefully that helps. I wouldn't mind another big house. Yeah, I think I can score points with that at least. Like 1. No, that was already scoring. Yeah, we'll score a point. All right. Just make sure that when you write it, you can remember what it is. All right. So we have 4 time, 5 time. Ooh, we have 2 more cards coming up. Interesting. That helped me make a bigger square. Well, it's slightly bigger square anyway. Grab the coin if you took the smaller space. And this will be the last card. Alright, so it is an L-shape orchard, which is farmland or trees. The Riftlands would have been great, huh? I needed that too. Just didn't get it. Let's see if we can score anything from this guy. I don't think I can. Yeah, I thought I had a bigger square, but I didn't. I should have actually marked that coin down. I think I need to. Okay. Okay. Well, I suppose I can get a coin here. That's probably okay. That's something. Sure. No water next to it, so nope, wouldn't matter. Oh, just kidding. That's definitely a forest. Forest. Super Forest. All right. I also needed the Riftlands for the 6x6. Just didn't happen. A darn monster. Okay. Go ahead and count up your total for the final round. Now the final round, Winter, we're scoring D and A, which is the Lost Barony and the Shield Gate again. Let's see, my second largest group of village is a 5 up here. It's a 5 cluster, so that's going to be 10 points. 2 points per thing in the cluster. Excuse me. And then we also have the Lost Barony. I did not make progress on that, and so that is still 15. I did make some gold, and I did make a little bit of monster progress. Just lost 1 there. 2, 3. Lost 3. Just kidding. Make sure you count that new monster you placed. Ended up with 30 that round. Okay. So go ahead and calculate your score by adding up your 4 different season scores, and that's going to be your final score in the game. Two. 70, 30, 114. I feel good about that. I don't know what's good in this game, but I am just curious. I am going to add up the solo cards, and then just also announce what the legendary cartographer would have scored, which is 30 above the addition of the solo cards. It's actually 90 points. You'd have to score 120 to be a legendary cartographer. It says 30 plus over the addition of the 4 values here would make you a legendary cartographer. 20 over would make you a master mapsmith. 10 over, journeyman topographer. And if you hit it on the mark, you are an apprentice surveyor. Legendary! Nice. Yeah, no, I think so. 90 would be 120. Yeah, 120. Okay, so that's a game. This is a little bit crunchier game, so it took a little longer, and plus I made a few mistakes, but we are going to play again because that's how we roll it. In between, we're going to talk some strategy, but we'll keep this session really short. So let me flip over to the next screen. There we go. In Cartographers,